So I want to go ahead and just expose the truth, or my point of view, or my truth on the Migos situation. Now, me, I'm almost 31 years old. If the two of the oldest Migos, right? Now, I heard uh like a couple of their songs. I'm not really too fond of them. There's only one I really like from them, and that's Stir Fry. And me, I live down south practically my entire life right now. And two of the Migos, the Migos, they're not, you know, young kids like people are treating them to be. These ain't, people who are in their teenagers. No, they're not in they, early 20s. The two of the oldest ones are 29 to 30 years old. So they take care of themselves, right? So they're going to look young. The third, the youngest one, is definitely around, 28 years old. So these are practically grown men. These are practically grown ass men. Down here in the South, the problem with doing business with artists or rappers and the hip hop business within the music industry is that when I say we, because I used to be I'm an underground artist. And I'm finna speak on examples that I have personally have saw and have seen. And one thing about the South, we're not a business coast, we're not business state, we're party states, we're vacationed eyes coast, where a lot of, it doesn't matter if you're like rich or a rich celebrity. You hear about a lot of the West Coast and East Coast rappers and Midwest rappers really mention, certain parts of the South. That's because, again, we're more of a party and a vacationized state, or party and vacationized, coast of the U.S. We're not known for business. Okay, we're not known to get busy and to get down like that when it comes to street shit. Most of us down here in the South, we talk it, but we ain't about it. We're not about, getting money. We're not about doing business. What we're about down here in the South is one, getting high. Two, spending money too much that we don't got. Three, we're too busy bumming off of others. Four, we're so busy on who's sleeping with who. And five, we're pretty much known as the gay capital, of the United States. When it comes to those things, which leads me into, again, the conversation that I brought up, we're not known for business. We're not known for business, and I can tell you from, experience that we don't want to hear what you have to say, because we don't care. We just want to hear about, just name a price of how much money, just name a price on how much money, and we're not going to care about our end. And because of that is why we get screwed over, because we bring it upon ourselves. We just want to hear about, okay, I need some connect, she's gonna bring me some drugs to get fucked up on, right? And I'm adding the stuttering part Because that's what we do down here as local artists, or as artists in the South in general, is we do that. Because when someone's trying to talk business to us, we're not trying to hear it. That's why we get walked on so much, which goes into why I say, we're not a business, coast. We're not a business state, because we're not about business. We intend to chase one song, not really trying to put out projects and expect, people to flock to us. And I understand a lot of artists throughout, came out the South for a long time, but you always see a repeated pattern where it's like we're popping for a while, but then we fall off, and then you hear us signing, about bankruptcy and selling stuff and a lot of the other stuff that goes into that. That's because, we don't care about our well-being as Southern artists, because good majority of the money goes towards exactly what you hear. Which then leads me to this, QC, they only got about 2 artists that complain about them, but I don't think it's QC's fault. When you have a lot of artists, it's going to be very difficult to try to manage each artist. It's going to be very frustrating to try to get people in certain days and certain time slots, because a lot of artists are not going to be at the same spot. A lot of artists that are on one label are not always going to like each other. And sometimes, if not all the time, the reason why the artists don't get nowhere is because of the artist's fault. No one who comes into the business or comes into the industry is going to have the same motives as the next person. They just want to do a song, get paid for recording the song, get paid for putting out the song, get paid for visiting the clubs, get paid for like a performance, get paid for like a streaming sale, and then they want to go hit the hood, hit up the dope man, and get a couple of fast females, and that's it. Not everyone who comes into the business is going to have the work mentality of wanting to make even more money. And a lot of them want to complain about the deals they sign. Right? Talking about, oh man, I'm losing royalties and I'm getting money stolen. You're not losing money. You're not getting royalties stolen. The deals that artists sign, they're 360 deals. Any deal that you sign is a 360. But any deal that you sign for any music that you put out, you're going to have to split money with profits. For example, okay, first you got the executives. They got to get paid. These are the people that sit at the tables, that do meetings, talk about their artists, the future of their artists, who's going where, who's not going where, who's doing good, who's not doing good. How can they fix or see what the problem is with some artists. See, okay, what can we do to help them? These are the people that have to also pay their staff, which are people that do the bookings, people that engineer and mix the equipment when it comes to a song. Then the owner, the CEO, the manager has to get paid. The money from that has to go back into the label for future projects. Then the artist gets paid. Now, you're getting paid from what's left after money's took out from taxes. Now there's always a bigger label that owns that smaller label that gets paid first. That gets paid first. A lot of people don't know that. That label that gets paid first before the smaller label, right, signs that check. They sign the check to send to the smaller label. When it gets into the hands of the person that pays the people at the smaller label, when it gets into the hands of the payee, they got to figure out the mathematics. So, the money that these artists get from off their labels when it comes to getting paid off a song or off a mixtape or an album, they're getting the percentage that they need to get. It's not the label's fault if the artist goes and does something stupid with the money. Just like when it comes to doing shows. Right? Well, you have to have a booking agent and your manager. Well, that money is split in 4 ways. Actually 5, but really 4. First, your venue spot from either a club, even a stadium, they got to get paid first. And then your opening acts get paid second. From there, the artist gets paid, but the artist has to go ahead and give a cut to the manager and also to the person who's his booking agent. From there, you want to make sure you at least put $1,000 away for taxes, because artists and for the rich and famous, they do taxes early, so they got to pay $35,000 each year for taxes. So you want to make sure you get at least $40,000 put away for taxes. Then the artist has to call up his manager at the label. Okay, this is how much I got left. How much do I need to go ahead and give you for your cut for the label? And when it comes to the show money, they're not going to take a big portion out, because mainly a good money that the artists receive and that they live off on is going to be the show money. Because, $5,000 is going to add up every night when you do a show. Yes, they may get booked more for that, but you go back to what I'm saying. They got to split that 4 to 5 ways, though, before they can go off and do whatever. Well, that money that they collect, comes out of their pocket when it comes to a hotel, food, laundry, paying your chauffeur, making sure that if you have a baby mama or a child, or your mom or something staying with y'all, you want to make sure that they got food on the table. You want to make sure bills are paid, right? Now, when you get some extra money, I get, you're going to want to get yourself some clothes, but when it comes to the industry, a lot of those clothes come for free. When it comes to the vehicles that they get, yes, in one part, an artist can go out and buy his own, vehicle. But eventually, a lot of the money that you use to file taxes with throughout the label, yes, they're not going to tell you that you got a tax return, because it's really the label's money that gets the tax return. So for appreciation of an artist's hard work, yes, you will get gifted with a car or maybe even a chain. Yes, that does come out the label's money during tax return, because it's really the label's money that's really filed on all the paperwork. So an artist is not getting money stole from them. Especially when you say, man, I haven't been getting paid. Well, if you haven't been getting paid, and the problem is with a lot of artists now, we have social media and we have, direct cameras on our phone that we're all seeing, these rappers go to the bank pulling out money. If you're not getting paid, right, then how the fuck are you able to pull out money? I guarantee you. See, what no one bothers to ask these artists and say, okay, pull out your check stubs, because there are check stubs. Pull out your bank statements. Them check stubs and them bank statements are gonna have names from the people that put the money in that account and exactly where the money came from, especially when it comes from a job, which is the label, the company. So you're not getting money stole from you. Matter of fact, you're getting paid what you're supposed to get paid. Because if you were not getting paid anything, you wouldn't be able to buy some stuff. Which then goes into this. The Migos are not getting their money stole. No, they're QC's, prized ponies, if you will. Just like Cardi B, right? See, the Migos, they're so far gone off being blinded in their life. They're so far gone off the drugs and off their entourage that they hang around and so much in the limelight that, they want to play I'm the victim card. They ain't the victim, man. They just trying to get one over on QC, bruh. Why? Because there's an old saying. They doing something funny with the money. Yes. If they were getting money stole from them, how in the fuck are you able to afford a car for your girlfriend or for your wife? If you going broke like you claim to go broke, didn't one of them just buy their daughter a $50,000 Birkin bag? If that was the case, you wouldn't be able to buy that Birkin bag, bro. So they're not going broke, but now they want to sue the lawyer. Yes, a label's gonna have a lawyer for the company, the brand, the person that owns it, the CEO, the manager, and also for the artist. Because you want a good paying lawyer. This lawyer has to protect you and to defend you if something goes wrong. This is more like a criminal lawyer, not so much as a financial or a lawsuit lawyer. No, you have to get something totally different for that. So now they want to sue the manager. Now they want to sue the lawyer. That's the, label and the brand's company executive lawyer. That lawyer ain't doing nothing wrong. But that lawyer has to do his or her job without having a lot of stress. Like, look, I got to defend the brand. I got to defend the label. I got to defend the person that's paying me. Just like I got to defend the artist. I can't choose and pick sides, because if that lawyer does that and he's getting paid good money on both ends, then that lawyer loses his or her job. So like I said, there is an old saying, when the money's looking funny, there's something funny with the money, bro. We heard about the same thing with the label, 300? It seemed to me, once everything was said and done, that 300 was doing right by the Migos. The Migos are just selfish, greedy people, man. They're not getting royalties stole. And again, go back to what I said. Ask them to show their check stubs and their bank statements, because they ain't gonna do it. I think pretty soon tax time for artists is coming up. A good majority of the time when it comes to entertainers doing scandalous things is when they have no money for taxes because they too busy blowing they fucking money. And that's what the Migos are doing. I guarantee you we're going to hear about them, scandaling and trying to fraud money from the label. Now, at the same time, you just can't always depend and, live off of music. No, you got to expand out. Some artists, my age, again, I'm 30 years old, about to be 31. So, some artists, back in the day, yeah, you had a lot of groups and artists that did get screwed over. That's without a doubt. But at the same time, a lot of the money that they were receiving, they were blowing it on jewelry, cocaine, and hookers. And buying, bottles, at the club. Well, by the time their fifth year comes around, because you sign a deal for 5 years at a label, after when you're done and you complete your job, then you want to start bitching and complaining, because guess what? You start to sober up, that high starts to come down, you start to go through withdrawals, and then you're looking at your financial crisis and you're like, where my money? Where my money? Where my money? You were so fucked up on drugs, liquor, and partying and spending money and living off fast women that, guess what? You blew through your entire money. You blew through it. And then you want to go around, man, I got to sue the label now, because you had no other options. Just fess up. You fucked up your financial situation. It's okay. Just admit to it. Yes, you'll have to go sign for bankruptcy. You'll have to sell shit. But then it's up to you to figure out, man, what are you going to do? And some artists that never did that, some artists, you know what? They knew they probably weren't going to last forever. So a lot of them expanded out behind closed scenes to find other things to invest in and to do. And because of that, some of the stuff that they do, they get paid way more for like another job that they do now than music. You know, like take a look at Ice Cube. Take a look at Dr. Dre. You know, take a look at 50 Cent. Take a look at Chameleonaire. Take a look at LL Cool J. Take a look at Little Mama. You know, these are very few examples of people who expanded out beyond music and doing very wealthy, doing very successful in their life. You don't hear them complaining. You know, Young Buck, he stayed here in Tennessee, right? Sadly, going back to what I said, Young Buck, he ain't really he a gangster, but he ain't a street nigga. And he ain't about business. The good majority of it, he hangs around bums. He hangs around people that have their hand out, right? Because he's where they're at, which is back down, at the bottom, quote unquote, the hood, roaming around the projects. This is a person that had to file for bankruptcy, man, more than twice. This is a person that gets high. This is a person that's afraid to live his truth. I know one of his boyfriends, man. Not personally, but I know one of them. This is a person that has documentations and stuff that came out about his financial crisis. This is a person that had stuff documented on video with things being auctioned off. He's so hypocritical that, man, ain't gonna sign to 50 again. Then he signed to 50 again. Then talking about, man, 50 Cent ain't paying me. Dude, when they pulled your bank statements and your check tabs, what did those things say on them? G-Unit Records, paid by Curtis, 50 Cent Jackson. $25,000, $35,000 paychecks. That's a regular paycheck in the music industry from a label. You're doing shows, right? He's doing shows, right? He said, man, he's getting 1,000 from off shows, 1,000 off of CDs. But you're around the hood, around bums, giving people money who don't deserve it, and then you find yourself in a fucked up financial situation. Like I said, the South is not a business coast. We're not business state. We are a vacation and party coast, a vacation and party state. That's what we are. We're not about business. Why do you think all the South rappers find themselves in fucked up situations, man? Because we don't care about the other. We don't care about business. We don't care about, branding or doing better. No. We think, man, we're going to have the music forever. It's not like that. Very few artists can actually say that they're really successful in music. You have, let me put it like this, right? Okay, if Run DMC was still around, they can tour for years. They can tour and make money off music. If, Dr. Dre can tour and make money off music. Ice Cube can tour and make money off music. If Eazy-E was alive, he could tour and make money off music, right? Snoop Dogg can tour and tour, make money off music. 50 Cent can tour and make money off music. Millionaire can tour, make money off of music, right? T.I. can tour, make money off music. Prince can tour. If he was still alive, Prince could tour and make money off music. If Michael Jackson was still alive, he could tour and make money off of music. Slash is not a lyricist. He's a guitarist from Guns N' Roses. He gives booked for stadiums just to play his guitar and tours. So the artists that I named, guess what? They can tour without putting out an album and still get paid from selling out stadiums. They can get paid for putting out just one song if they want to, make tons of money off that, then perform that song, and then make even more money off that. Not very many artists can do that. About a couple of years ago when 50 Cent put out My Life, he outsold every artist that put out an album, and he just put out one song. And then a couple of years ago, he was killing up with bit of the mixtapes because of power. Not too many artists can succeed, man, like that. Rick Ross, yeah, he's from the South, but he doesn't have a gold or platinum, really albums or records, bruh. His shit undersells. Now, I'm not a fan of Rick Ross. I can give a fuck less. I like a couple songs of his, but then that's it. But what he found success in, right, is managing some artists, but really being a co-producer, then also vesting into Wingstop and Checkers. So that's how he's able to stay successful. So he put his money into stuff. So I can't be mad at him for that. But again, what the migos are doing, they're lying about their age. And that's one thing about the music industry, right? When you start off as young, they want you to look young for your audience. So they want you to lie about you. It's like Little Pump. Little Pump, it was not underage, bro. Was not underage. No. He was an industry plant. He ain't got to do much of anything because he's still getting paid. If anything, I guarantee you that dude is definitely now around 19, 20, 21 years old. How do I know? Because I used to look a bit young like that when I was around that age range and had some of that facial hair like that, just like everyone else who I came up with, or just like other people who I saw started growing up a bit. Yeah, Lil Pump lied about his age. He finessed, what was it? Warner Brothers. They had him lie about his age anyways. That dude was already considered at age, right at the age of 18 when he got signed. So he's already a fucking adult, right? According to the government law. Back when the Jacksons started hitting their teens, at least Michael, when he started hitting his preteens and he started getting a bit of breakouts and his voice was starting to crack, the Motown said, look, man, we need you to lie about your age. Eventually, they couldn't lie and hide it no more, man. So, yes, there are a lot of finesse schemes and scandals going on, behind closed doors. And, some artists, some labels do screw over their artists. TLC, they never saw a paycheck until they put out their not Crazy Sexy Cool album. Which one? Their fan mail album. They didn't see money off their other two albums until after the death of Left Eye. And when they started seeing that money from a lot of their tour shows and the first two of the albums, that didn't hit until 2004. Because a lot of stuff that was showed, there was $0 in their accounts. Because yes, Pebbles was definitely taking those girls' money. That did come out. She did get sued for that. and she was spending it on her houses and her cars. These girls didn't even see money off they torrent that they did. Like I said, a lot of that money they didn't see till 2004, till after everything. And then I also believe in 2004, throughout 2005, they put out a fourth album, and that album, really didn't perform that well because it was missing Left Eye, and the album just felt off to everyone. They only had like maybe a couple of new vocals from Left Eye before her passing, but then that was it. But what, they found success in other things that they, expanded out to do. So yes, in most cases you have, stuff like that going on, but in all cases it's not going to be like that either. Now way back, for those who've seen, the movie Cadillac Records, during the era of, the blues and jazz music, when they actually started, putting music out on radio and getting things printed up on vinyl, when they first started to experiment with that. Yes, you did have it where, your black artist would be famous, but then your manager would be rich. Now, that was messed up, but on one hand, you know what? That artist didn't have nothing to worry about, because if that artist needed anything at all, that money came out the manager's, artist, so came out the manager's pocket. So that artist was able to enjoy their money. They were just doing it in a different way, because, like, you know what? I'm gonna use you since you're using me, type of deal. That's why a lot of these artists who were still alive back then, for some, not very few of them, yes, you know what? They got to retire. They got to see money. And they have a lot of stuff and a lot of money that they left to their loved ones and to their kids. Again, it's something, again, when these artists get ready to pass, again, there's not too many of them left. A lot of stuff that they donated to museums and the stuff that they donated to music museums, each time that museum pulls in some money because of that artist's stuff, that artist gets paid from that too. And again, some who ended up passing, they family, they didn't have to worry about money because they family seen that money in the end. It just sucks it had to happen during, the artist's death. Some rap artists, do get screwed over. Young Jock was signed to Bad Boys, Bad Boys South. Diddy, he has a bad reputation with artists. I'm not gonna lie, he does. Yes, Jock got screwed over. That's why we see him act the way he does now. Terror Squad, sadly, a lot of artists, throughout the years complained about Terror Squad, complained about Fat Joe. And that's why Fat Joe don't have to put nothing out now, because he did steal a lot of those artists' money off his brand, off his label. If you go back and take a look at a couple years ago, Big Pun's, family, they were still stuck in the ghetto, still stuck in the hood, broke, poor, because Big Pun was never getting paid by Fat Joe. By the time Big Pun, passed, his family had to raise money just for his funeral and his burial because Fat Joe didn't want to help. There were documentations, pay things that, they tried to get and tried to pull that just wasn't there, that really showed that, yes, Fat Joe was stealing money from his artists then, just like, I can't say now because a lot of them, they left, they moved on, and none of them have nothing good to say about him. But a couple years ago, Big Pun's family had to put, Big Pun's, iconic and only chain he had up for auction just in order to get by that year. That's why you see a lot of artists not doing business with Fat Joe anymore. He stole a lot of money. He a grimy nigga from New York. just like a lot of his artists were from New York. And that's why when the time came to it, that's why Remy Ma popped off on Fat Joe the way she did. And that's why she had to do time. So Fat Joe put her in prison for a long ass fucking time, man. For a long ass time. So that whole snitching shit, I'm sorry, Fat Joe, but you did put one of your artists in prison, boy. If you was about that life, then you wouldn't have got the feds involved, but you were stealing money from a lot of artists. And that's why they all were out to kill you. So as you can see what I'm saying right now, the Migos are not having money stole from them. They're just selfish, greedy men, grown men, who are doing something funny with the money. And now that the money, right, the big time money is disappearing, it's because look at what they're buying and they're showing it. They're flexing with it. And now that tax time's coming around, guess what? You don't have $45,000 put away for taxes. So now you have to go ahead and start suing and finessing just to get money. Okay. Now when you do pay them taxes as a group and also as separate as individuals, because you have 3 different accounts, actually 4, I miscounted. You have the label account, you have the group account, and then you have each artist individually with their own account. So there's money right there. But 4 of those counts out of 5 doing something funny with the money. So after, I guarantee you, man, they will get caught. They're not hurting. They're gonna have to pay up. And I guarantee you, they're going to have to file out for bankruptcy. They're going to have to do auctions. Because now they done fucked up. They don't even know it. And because of that, everyone's going to look at the Migos, right? Once that happens, after QC drops you for finessing them, everyone else in the business is going to look at you like, you bad for business, I can't do business with you. Same thing with Birdman. You know how many artists he signed over the years? And all of them came out and said the same thing. Where there's smoke, there's fire. He lived off so many of his artists. The only one he never screwed over was Lil Wayne. No, Lil Wayne was his prize pony. Was his golden goose, per se. Lil Wayne was getting paid money. He was getting paid lots of money. The only thing is, once Lil Wayne started to get cleaned up, get sober, started going through withdrawals very heavily, he looked at his finances and said, bruh, where's all my money? Then he wanted to point at Birdman. Yes, Birdman did live off Lil Wayne, but a lot of Lil Wayne's money he did to himself by what? Blowing it on cars, blowing it on jewelry, blowing it on drugs. Why, especially he didn't bother to put away money for taxes. That's why he got arrested so many times for taxes. So a lot of his financial, crisis in certain areas, that wasn't Birdman's fault. That was Wayne's fault. But then that's the problem with a lot of these artists. If you guys really take a look back throughout so many years, they want to point, they want to point the finger. They want to start pointing the finger. You can't point the finger, bro. You can't point the finger. Now, I'm originally from up north, but I've been down in the South for, a good majority of my life, right? I was in music for 9 years as an underground artist. And I wanted to record. I wanted to get down with someone. But going back, no one wanted to do the business. So I was still out in the streets, and the money that I got from the streets, I put into myself to learn first how to record a song. What equipment did I need it, and as technology, evolved, the less equipment I needed. And I had to learn how to work the equipment, learn to work the program. I just grew up with music, doing the music, listening to music. I didn't care about a single because If you're chasing a single your entire life, you're not going to get anywhere. You're not. Which means no one's going to bother checking for you either. I learned how to do my own photo editing work. I spent money out of my pocket, especially times when it wasn't there. And sometimes I had to hit mom up because she knows what I wanted to do. So I would go out and buy the blank CDs, buy cases, go online and get the CD sticker labels, get designs printed out on them, just like the case covers. I had to look up the sizes, paid money to get them cut out. And I put them out in 2 different areas, and one for free and one not for free. So, I eventually ended up getting listeners. I don't know about fans or audiences, but I did, especially in my early years. I started out as a bootleg DJ, and I also done freestyles. It weren't the best quality at the time, but I gave them out to my friends and some of the artists that wanted their music out. I put it out there because, again, I was a bootleg DJ. So, I had several SoundCloud pages back then throughout Hotmail. And by the time I started getting a bit older, the main SoundCloud page that's still up now, a lot of streaming plays throughout them, and also through Review Nation, to where I did eventually cash out on my pay from SoundCloud. But, at the end, I really didn't see that much money because I was using SoundCloud's platform, so they had to take a good proportion. Money from taxes had to come out of that. In the end, I just saw around $500 to $100. That's it. Just like when I, decided to, this is when I started, to step down and retire, like early this year. I ended up leaving out with only $25 from physical CDs, even though a lot were sold. And I never signed to a label, never signed to a manager, so I didn't lose money. But when you have a place of business that you're doing business with, you're going to have to take the low cut while they take the high cut, because they ain't trying to lose money. And a lot of the money that that I did see, I put it right back into the next thing, even if it means me adding more to it out of my pocket. I did a couple of shows to where I was an opening act. I didn't see nothing, but because of my age and the era that I came from, I decided to always book myself in the beginning of the middle acts, because you're gonna have the hype artist for the opening acts to get the crowd hyped. Well, around the that third hour starts coming around, right? The crowd's gonna get a bit bored. They're gonna start dying down a bit, and that's why I decided to do the middle, because I know what a lot of the older people wanted. I know what they wanted to see, and they just picked right back up. They literally picked right back up, and plus more people came in because I had to let it be known ahead of time. Look, I'm gonna be the middle act, so you're gonna want to come around this time. And when I perform, I bring a hint of magic, people's enjoyments. And then sadly, after I get done performing, for some reason people want to start fighting each other. I don't know. But then around the middle act is when the crowd starts dying down. Now, a couple of years ago, I did my first solo show for 2 hours. I enjoyed that. I wish I would have hired a camera guy, because the camera that I use is an expensive camera. But I wish I would have known what I knew then. Like, for the first, for the first 30 minutes, it's going to record for 30 minutes, then it's going to shut off. And then you record it again, it's going to record even longer. But I didn't know that. And I wish I knew that, or I wish I at least would have hired somebody to say, hey, can you work the camera for me, man? Just make sure that record button is still going. Make sure the screen is still recording. Because you guys would have loved the whole show, man. Like, I started out slow in the beginning, but that middle part, again, that's when it picked up, especially towards the end. And then by the time you get to the last 2 songs, when it started dying down, oh man, You guys would have loved it, but still, when you're doing things on your own, there's some things, you're not going to think about right away anyways. So in the end, there's really no actual money in music. There never really was. But I can say I gained more success than any other underground or local artist had, because a lot of them want to sign to, some local underground label. Huh? So, anywho, so, a lot of artists, underground or locally want to sign, to a BS local label, right? And about 15, well, I don't want to say 15 years ago, 17 years ago, a lot of the local artists here, they were doing okay, separate by themselves. They put out some music, but then they had a lot they just never put out. And by the time, when you get older, you're not going to be doing a lot of things anymore. When you get older, you're going to start to have kids, settle down, and get married. And that's what eventually happened. But then you had somebody who was a snake, who claims he's a businessman. And I tested this dude's knowledge in my own way. And he just wasn't talking about nothing. Which then gave me my conclusion, like, man, this dude just sits on everybody, manages them, takes their money from them, and then sits them and then keeps them set down to where they can't do anything. And then he goes on to the next artist. So everyone is so tied down to this one individual that they can't do nothing. They can't record, they can't put out music, nothing. And he wanted to talk to, somebody who's like a father to me, somebody who gave me some advice when it came to music, and said, I want to sign your boy. He's like, he ain't gonna sign with you, because the person that, taught me some stuff, as well as myself, knows how I work, knows what I do, knows how I do it, and knows that I'm not going to give and start signing myself away to anybody. And the only reason why this person wanted to sign me is because, one, I was putting out music, I was getting a lot of listeners, I done my own work, and he wanted somebody like that. It just wasn't going to happen. I'm not going to sit there and sign away everything. I'm here to make money, or at least try to do something. But I'm not going to be here to, throw everything away. And when it came to a show that somebody wanted to book me for outside of the state, they came to me first. And that left room for negotiations. You wanted a 15-minute solo act, not an opening act. You wanted a solo act for the middle part of the show. I said, okay, give me 20 minutes. Give me two jacket changes for like costume changes. I want the stage cleared out. Pay me $1,000. That's it. If you can't do 1,000, pay me 500. Okay, but then they say, okay, you know what? I see what you're doing. And it's like, well, I need somebody for the beginning show. No, you're not booking me for the beginning. You wanted somebody in the middle. When then the person wanted to change it, so I'm like, you know what? I'm done with you. Whatever. But I was fucking and dating this person's daughter. So I was booking something all right. You know what I'm saying? Then, broke off with that person, and then that's it. And that's one thing, if a person comes to you, that leaves room for negotiations. You want to make sure you're going to get the best out of it. You want to make sure you're going to get what you want out of it. But you don't want to be selfish and greedy about this either. You don't want that. So, because of that, that's why I say, with these examples, the migos, they're not business people. They're selfish. They're greedy. They lied about their age. And wait until the end, once everything's settled. You guys are going to see that they're going to get in trouble for finessing, bro. They're going to get in trouble for finessing, and it's going to come out. Things are going to get showed. When that happens, QC is going to drop them. No one's going to want to do business with the Migos because they're going to be bad for business, and that's going to show. When that happens, what are you going to do? You're going to file for bankruptcy. You're going to have to auction off a lot of shit. Then where you go from there, that's on you. Again, there's an old saying, when the money's not looking right, they doing something funny with the money. Because come tax time, you ain't going to have nothing for Uncle Sam. So Uncle Sam going to come knocking. It's almost tax time for these artists anyways. So you got to pay up again $35,000, $45,000. Again, if there's so much stealing money, show your pay stubs, show your bank statements. They can't do that because they know they're getting paid. They're not getting nothing stole from them. Get out of here. That's one thing that a lot of, younger viewers who may see this video, you guys need to understand this. You can't believe every and anything that these artists show or say or do that comes out their mouth. Even on social media. You can't do it. So you can't always feel bad for somebody just because they come out and say something, because you don't know if that statement is going to be true or not. You don't know that. So you can't always jump to somebody's defense without looking at the other side of it. With that being said, I'm out. Peace.